Bonjour, French 1 students. Here is your teaching video for Lesson 8, Parts A, B, and C, pages 104 to 109 in your book. Please again remember that I'd like you to follow along in your textbook. So, s'il vous plaît, ouvrez vos livres à la page 104. Leçon 8, un concert de musique africaine. Nicolas is at a cafe with his new friend Fatou. He is interviewing her for an article in his school newspaper. Bonjour Fatou, ça va? Oui, ça va. Tu es sénégalaise, n'est-ce pas? Oui, je suis sénégalaise. Où est-ce que tu habites? Je suis de Dakar, mais maintenant j'habite à Paris avec ma famille. Est-ce que tu aimes Paris? J'adore Paris. Qu'est-ce que tu fais le week-end? Ça dépend. En général, je regarde la télé ou je sors avec mes copains. Dis Nicolas, est-ce que je peux te poser une question? Oui, bien sûr. Qu'est-ce que tu fais ce week-end? Je ne sais pas. Est-ce que tu veux aller avec nous à un concert de Youssef N'Dour, le musicien sénégalais? Oui, bien sûr. Où, quand, et à quelle heure? So, working through this translation, Nicholas starts by saying, Hello, Fatou, how are you? Yes, I'm fine. You are from Senegal, aren't you? Yes, I am from Senegal. Where do you live? I am from Dakar, but now I live in Paris with my family. Do you like Paris? I love Paris. What do you do on weekends? That depends. In general, I watch TV or I go out with my friends. Hey, Nicholas, can I ask you a question? Yes, of course. What are you doing this weekend? I don't know. Do you want to go with us to a Youssef N'Dour concert? The Senegalese musician? Yes, of course. Where? When? At what time? So kind of based on this, you can see what we're going to be learning in this lesson is more about questions. Right now you can ask yes or no questions, which means questions that can be answered with a yes or no. You're going to learn how to ask information questions in this lesson. All right, the note culturelle. En bref, le Sénégal, capitale Dakar, population 10 millions, langue officielle français. A former French colony, Senegal became an independent republic in 1960. Its population is divided into about a dozen ethnic groups, each with its own language, the most important being Wolof and Pulaar. So again, they're showing you that Senegal is a country in Western Africa, and they have a little map of Senegal there, including Dakar, which is its capital. Youssef N'Dour is an internationally known musician from Senegal who combines traditional African music with pop, rock, and jazz. He sings in French and English, as well as in 3 Senegalese dialects. His lyrics promote African unity and human dignity. In many of his songs, he also plays the tama, a traditional Senegalese drum covered with reptile skins. So there's a picture of him there, and then a picture of what this tama looks like. So, before we get into new information, I want to review yes or no questions. And when we review these yes or no questions, remember there were 3 different ways to ask yes or no questions, but there was the best way. And we're going to review that best way, which was you put est-ce que, your subject, then your verb, and then I just do a ... for whatever else is in that sentence. Now, you have to remember that this k becomes QU apostrophe before a vowel or a silent H. So remember, that impacted us with the subjects like il, el pluriel, and el pluriel. It also impacts us when we're talking about people's names. For example, Anne or Hunter, which starts with an H, and be under, right? Those would be QU apostrophes if those were the subjects because they start with a vowel or a silent H. So I have this sentence here, Elle étudie le français. She is studying French. If I want to make this a question and ask, does she study French? Remember, all I have to do is put an est in front of it. So as a question, it's going to become est, and it's going to do the QU apostrophe because L starts with a vowel, Elle étudie le français. So this is review. Okay, this is what was in lesson, I think it was lesson 6. Okay, where you learned to ask yes and no questions. So today, as I already mentioned, we're going to talk about how to ask information questions. Now, the difference here is these are going to be asking for information, so these can't be answered with just a yes or no. Now, the format is going to look similar. All questions in French still are going to have est in them. The difference is we have to put that question word. So the format of information questions in French is our question word, est que, subject, verb, and then again that ... for whatever else is there. This que is still going to become QU apostrophe before a vowel or a silent H. So again, we're still going to be careful with that with the il, el singular and the il, el pluriel subjects, and also if we're using people's names and they start with a vowel or a silent H. Now, I call it a question word. Your textbook calls this an interrogative expression, which is really technically the proper English term for these question words. Okay, but I just call it a question word. So really the only difference here, right, from our other questions is we've added this question word out and in front of our question. The rest of it is the same. Well, that means then that you need to know what these question words are. So here are our question words or interrogative expressions in English, right? So who, what, when, where, why, how, to or at whom, about or of whom, with whom, for whom, at what time. So these are all, if you ask who is studying French, right? That's an information question. I can't just answer that with a yes or no. So these are all these question words that indicate we need more than just a yes or no question. So the question word for who in French is qui. What is que. When is quand. Where is où. Why is pourquoi. How is como? To or at whom is a, que. About or of whom is de, que. With whom is avec, que. And for whom is pour, que, which usually is everyone's favorite. And then at what time is à, quelle heure. So, s'il vous plaît, répétez qui, que, quand, où, pourquoi, comment, à qui, de qui, avec qui, pour qui, à quelle heure. All right. So one of the things about this is in English, think about if I ask a why question, right? Why are you studying French? I am studying French because. So we often have the word because in our answers, and so we need to know the word because in French, which is parce que. Que again is going to become QU apostrophe before a vowel or a silent H. Also, if I ask a question about to whom did you give the paper? I gave the paper to. So in our answers, if it's an a key question, there should be an a in the answer. If it's a de key question, there should be a de in our answer. If it's an avec key question, there should be an avec in our answer. And if it's a pour key question, there should be a pour in our answer. Okay, so remember these are we're talking about our answers here. That can be helpful, knowing that there should be an a de, avec, or pour in these questions, because on homework and on some tests and quizzes, they're going to give you answers and ask you to figure out what the question word was. And if you see a or a de or an avec or a pour in your answer, then that's a clue that you should have an a, de, avec, or pour in your question. The other thing I want to talk about is, remember that this que is going in front of est-ce. So, as a question, it's going to lose that E and become qu'est-ce, okay? Because est-ce here, right, starts with a vowel, so we lose that E and it becomes a QU apostrophe. S'il vous plaît, répétez qu'est-ce que, parce que, à, de, avec, pour. So let's take a look at an example. So let's say we want to ask the question, where does she study? So again, our format is first we need our question word, which is where, and where is où. Then remember our format, next comes est-ce. She is elle, and notice here I have a vowel, so I'm going to have to make this QU apostrophe. Study is étudier, and I need to make it match L. So here's my stem, and I add an E. And then le français. So we have où est-ce qu'elle étudie le français? If instead we wanted to ask why does she study French, it's going to be very similar, but our question word is going to change from où for where to why for pourquoi. So this is going to be pourquoi est-ce qu'elle étudie le français. And if I want to answer this, right, if I want to say where does she study French, we can say she studies French in class. Then it would be elle étudie le français en classe. And why is she studying French? Let's say she's studying French because she wants to, because she loves Paris. So elle étudie le français. And now we're going to use that word for because, which is parce que. This is going to do the QU apostrophe because we're going to say she loves, adore, and then it ends in an E. Okay? Paris. So let's take a look at this, the way it's introduced to you in your textbook. Okay? À la page 106, à les questions d'information. The questions below ask for specific information and are called information questions. The interrogative expressions in heavy print indicate what kind of information is requested. Remember, I don't call them interrogative expressions. I call these question words. Okay. So we have où est-ce que tu habites? J'habite à Nice. À quelle heure est-ce que vous dînez? Nous dînons à 7 heures. In French, information questions may be formed according to the pattern, the interrogative expression, or the question word. Est-ce que, the subject and the verb. So we have à quelle heure est-ce que vous travaillez? Which would be asking at what time do you work. Est-ce que becomes SQU apostrophe before a vowel sound. Quand est-ce qu'Alice et Roger dînent? When are Alice and Roger having dinner? In information questions, your voice rises on the interrogative expression and then falls until the last syllable. Quand est-ce que tu travailles? À quelle heure est-ce que vous dînez? So, quand est-ce que tu travailles is asking, when do you work? À quelle heure est-ce que vous dînez? At what time do you have dinner? Observation. In casual conversation, French speakers frequently form information questions by placing the interrogative expression at the end of the sentence. The voice rises on the interrogative expression. Vous habitez où? Vous dînez à quelle heure? Again, I don't want you, okay, to ask questions this way. Okay, we want to practice doing it the other way. Okay? By the other way, I mean, right, like this. Our question word, our eska, our subject, our verb. So vocabulary, expresión interrogative, right? So here are those question words. Now, one of the things that's going to happen is for your listening activities on your quizzes and tests, you're going to start to hear a lot more questions, and you'll have to choose which answer makes the most sense. Oftentimes, understanding the question word can give you a big clue about whether or not the answer makes sense. So, you're going to repeat these after me, and then we're going to do these sentences over here as well. S'il vous plaît, répétez où, où est-ce que vous travaillez? Quand est-ce que ton copain organise un boom? À quelle heure est-ce que tu regardes la télé? Comment est-ce que tu chantes? Bien ou mal? Pourquoi est-ce que tu étudies le français? Parce que je veux voyager en France. And then the little arrow underneath there, parce que becomes parce que apostrophe before a vowel sound. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Juliette invite Olivier parce qu'il danse bien. So working through the translation, back up to the où question. That one is asking, where do you work? When is your male friend organizing a party? At what time do you watch TV? How do you sing, well or poorly? Why are you studying French? Because I want to travel in France. And Juliet invites Oliver because he dances well. So again, you definitely need to know the meaning of these question words and be able to recognize them when you hear them. So we'll take a look at activity 2, curiosité. At a party in Paris, Nicolas meets Beatrice, a Canadian student. He wants to know more about her. Play both roles. So again, I would like you to practice saying these at home. So look at our example prompt. We have où and habiter and à Québec. So we're going to use the où and habiter for our question and the à Québec for our answer. So notice our question becomes où est-ce que tu habites? And our answer is j'habite à Québec. So what's going to be the same every time? The est-ce que tu. Right? This first word is où because this was où. This second word, the verb, was habite because this was habiter, which is also why we have habite here. In our answer, right, our je is going to stay the same every time. And in our answer, the à Québec became our answer. So we'll kind of work through number 1 together. Okay. Number 1, we have où étudier and à Montréal. So our question is going to be, où est-ce que tu étudies right? Our est-ce que tu stayed the same. And then our answer is going to be j'étudie à Montréal. So again, I'd like you to try to say these. I'll give you time, and if you need more time, remember you can always pause the video, okay? And listen and see if your answers mark. So number 2, numéro 2, we have où travailler and dans une pharmacie. Où est-ce que tu travailles? Je travaille dans une pharmacie. Numéro 3, quand, parler français and toujours. Now with this one we need to be careful. This is an adverb. And remember, adverbs go right after our verb. So numéro 3 is quand est-ce que tu parles français? Je parle toujours français. So toujours has to go right after parle in our answer. 4. Quand, parler anglais and souvent. Souvent is also an adverb. Quand est-ce que tu parles anglais? Je parle souvent anglais. Numéro 5. Como, jouer au tennis and bien. Bien also is an adverb. It's going to go right after jouer in your answer. Como est-ce que tu joues au tennis? Je joue bien au tennis. 6. Como, danser and très bien. Again, très bien, also an adverb, right? So all of these here, right, have been adverbs and they need to go right after your verb. Como est-ce que tu danses? Je danse très bien. 7. Pourquoi? Être en France parce que j'aime voyager. Pourquoi est-ce que tu es en France? Je suis en France parce que j'aime voyager. Oui, pourquoi? Être à Paris parce que j'étudie ici. Pourquoi est-ce que tu es à Paris? Je suis à Paris parce que j'étudie ici. So we have a vocabulary expression pour la conversation. How to express surprise or mild doubt. S'il vous plaît, répétez ah bon? Ah bon? Stephanie organise une soirée. Ah bon? Quand? So Stephanie is organizing a party. Oh, really? When? All right. À la page 108, B. Les expressions interrogatives avec qui. To ask about people, French speakers use the following interrogative expressions. Again, we're going to repeat these and these sentences over here. S'il vous plaît, répétez qui. Qui. Qui est-ce que tu invites au concert? À qui? À qui? À qui est-ce que tu téléphones? De qui? De qui? De qui est-ce que vous parlez? Avec qui? Avec qui? Avec qui est-ce que Pierre étudie? Pour qui? Pour qui? Pour qui est-ce que Laure organise la boum? To ask who is doing something, French speakers use the construction qui and the verb. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Qui habite ici? Qui organise la boum? So working through the translation of these questions that we just said, the top one is asking, whom did you invite to the concert? To whom are you calling? About whom are you speaking? With whom does Pierre study? For whom is Laure organizing the party? So let's take a look at exercise 7 questions. For each illustration, prepare a short dialogue with a classmate using the suggested cues. So again, here's our examples. We have où, we have the picture of the girl eating dinner, and à la maison. So we have où est-ce que tu dînes? Je dîne à la maison. Again, what's going to stay the same? The est-ce que tu and the je. Alright, so again, where did the où come from? Right? That's where the où came from. Where did we get the dîne from? Right? That came from the picture that she's eating dinner. That's why we have dîne here, and that's why we have dîne here. So those are going to be the same verb every time. And where did the à la maison come from? Under the picture. S'il vous plaît, répétez, est-ce que tu? Je. So again, let's take a look at number 1 together before I ask you to repeat these. So we have the à quelle heure, the picture of somebody watching TV, and à 8 heures. So the question is going to be où, or sorry, not où, à quelle heure est-ce que tu, and watching TV is regarder la télé, so I'm going to make it regarde, ending in an es, la télé. And then you're going to answer that with je regarde la télé à 8 heures. Okay. So, you try numéro 2, quand visiting Paris and en septembre. Quand est-ce que tu visites Paris? Je visite Paris en septembre. Number 3, which is speaking French. Comment est-ce que tu parles français? Je parle très bien français. Right? Because this is an adverb again, so it has to go right after the verb. 4. Playing tennis. Avec qui est-ce que tu joues au tennis? Je joue au tennis avec Denise. Numéro 5. Making a phone call. À qui est-ce que tu téléphones? Je téléphone à mon cousin. Notice, right, I mentioned that à qui, there should be an à in our answer. De qui, we have a de in our answer. Pour qui, we have a pour in our answer. So numéro 6, speaking. De qui est-ce que tu parles? Je parle de toi. Set, pour qui and working. Pour qui est-ce que tu travailles? Je travaille pour Monsieur Lambert. Say. Note the use of the interrogative expression qu'est-ce que in the questions below. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Qu'est-ce que tu regardes? Je regarde un match de tennis. Qu'est-ce qu'Alice mange? Elle mange une pizza. To ask what people are doing, the French use the following construction. Qu'est-ce que, subject and verb, and qu'est-ce que becomes QU apostrophe before a vowel sound. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Qu'est-ce que tu regardes? Qu'est-ce qu'elle mange? Working through that translation, what are you watching? I'm watching a tennis game. What is Alice eating? She's eating a pizza. So again, remember I talked about this, that this is the word que, but the que loses its E and becomes QU apostrophe in front of est que. So the question word really is the que. All right, your homework, page 107.2 and page 109.7, exercise 2. Right, when we went over this one out loud in class, I already kind of wrote your answer for number 1. So let's take a look at what number 2 is. Remember, the est que tu stays the same. So we're going to have ou, because that's our question word that they give us in number 2. Okay, and then we're going to have est que. Always going to be tu. And then I have to conjugate travailler. So again, here's my stem. And I add an es. So, où est-ce que tu travailles? And then I'm always going to write my answer. So, je travaille. Here's my stem. And remember, for je, I add an e. Okay. Dans une pharmacie. So, you're going to write out both the question and the answer for each of these. Exercise set. Okay, for each illustration, prepare short dialogue with a classmate using the suggested cues. Again, I already did exercise 1 when we went over this orally, so we'll look at 2. Again, you're going to write both the question and the answer. Okay, so number 2 will be called. Remember, the est que tu stays the same every time. And then my verb for this one is to travel. So voyage is my stem, and I add an es. And then je, same verb. But again, for je, it ends in an e because I add an e. En septembre. So you're writing out both the question and the answer for all of those. Au revoir. À demain.